Hi, everybody. Dr. Friedman here, and are you ready to die? Or rather, are you ready to read or reread Die with my class? Because I'm inviting you to do so starting in just a couple of weeks. We're about to go on our spring break rather early, but we will be reading and discussing Die the comic and Die the role-playing game across the next month of our class. So starting on March 16th, if you want to read along with us, you'll want to have the first volume, Fantasy Heartbreaker, ready and read for our discussion. Every Monday, I'll be leading my students through a volume of Die and then spending Wednesday discussing some of the back matter, some of the best essays that were included in the individual issues and then collected into the anthologies and compendium of Die. We'll also be taking a look at the Quick Start Guide to orient us if you're not familiar with Die the RPG. And this is where I get to make a fun and special announcement. I'm writing a book about Die. After the actual playbook is complete, I have agreed to write a mini graph that's about a 40,000 word book about Die for the University of Michigan's tabletop series that does deep dives into individual games. I love teaching Die because it is a game and a comic that were created in parallel, and they share the same goals that I do, which is to understand why people make games and play games and the history of those practices and expanding that history beyond the story we tell about war games. If you've been paying attention to this channel's recap of my classes up to this point, this will not be a surprise. Literally every single reading assignment that we did in the early part of this semester is pulled from Die's bibliography of the work that Gillen did in order to understand better the world of role-playing games. What I love about this is that Kieron, who admittedly is also now my friend, is kind of an interesting sort of game creator. He's new enough when Die is created as a role-playing game that there's actually in-text citations, something I've never seen in another game. Many games have annotated ludographies, and many games tell you the inspirations, both game and cultural, that inspired their work. But it's really hard for an experienced game designer, let alone a team, to say this rule came from this inspiration. But Die, for strange reasons, can do just that in many cases. And Die, the comic, and Die, the game, are both interested in sending us out to be curious about the rest of the history of role-playing. I love that for me, and I love that for us. And I'm excited for my students, some of whom are experienced gamers and some of whom are still fairly new to the hobby, encounter this particular text. I've actually flipped the script this semester. Last time, this was the first thing they read, and now it's going to be the culminating experience of everything they've played and learned and read. At the end, we're going to be talking to Kieron Gillen and troubling the idea of the author function and author authority, and that's always a really fun and good time. It's also a really interesting time because, of course, Die Loaded is still releasing, and that further complicates and creates new arguments in the ways that Gillen is thinking about games. Kieron Gillen is one of my favorite people to think about why we play, why we make groups together, what has enchanted both of us since the 2010s when we both returned to the hobby in our own different ways. I'm excited to tell this story to my students, to you, and to folks who want to pick up a book and read to make their way into Die. It's dangerous, but that's what makes it fun. So I hope some of you will join me, and I'm curious if you have read Die before and would be joining us for a reread, or whether you have never come across Die before. If you're looking for copies, obviously Image Comics has it available in all kinds of formats. My students last semester were assigned this big chunky boy of the full run of Die, and they would like to tell you that this is heavy to carry around. And it's just as inexpensive and much more readable to buy the 4 individual volumes wherever books are sold. If you can get a hand on the individual issues, hey, great. And of course, there's other ways of acquiring in print comics in all kinds of ways. But I hope you will get ready and stay ready and join us for a conversation about Die starting March 16th. Take care.